Hey guys, welcome to RC Video Reviews on a, what is it, Monday? Yeah, Monday night. We're doing a quick look, or a first look, at the ToolkitRC M9 charger. So I got to let you guys know this video is sponsored by Toolkit. They sent me this unit for review, and we're going to take a look at it. We're just going to run through some stuff, and we're going to play around and just kind of get up and down on the charger. You know, Toolkit, they've been putting out a lot of different things lately. I mean, they've got a pretty comprehensive suite of products. This one's kind of like an evolution, I think. It kind of feels like it's the next generation, you know, like the M6 type charger. It's a DC charger, and we'll go through the specs in just a minute, but I'll give you a little tour on the outside. This is a DC charger, so no AC connectivity. You can see I've got a power supply connected. It's actually the P200 power supply running this right now, and I'm on the calibration screen. So this is a tilt screen. That's the one real interesting thing about this, and one of the really neat things that I found in using it so far is that tilt screen is kind of cool. That's definitely a neat capability on these things, because, you know, if you're working at the desk, it's nice just to be able to pop that thing up and aim it at you, which is, it's kind of one of those things, like, it's like touch prompts on Edge TX. You know, it's like, well, you don't really think you're going to need it until you have it, and then you're like, well, how did I ever get along without it? So it's kind of cool. Notice also it's got an SD card slot right there in the back. I'll explain that in just a minute, but that's for voice. There's a lot of voice prompts on this thing. And then the typical form factor for Toolkit, with the single button here on the side and the jog wheel. And then along the front, let's take a look at the front real quick. I'll just pull my test battery off, and I want to show you up front what's going on. You've got the output, so that should look familiar to you. But one thing to notice, and this is the first time I've had a charger get beyond what I could fully demonstrate in a video, but this is up to 8 cell. I don't have any 8 cell. And I suppose I could make a 4-cell, 2 4-cells in series to give you an 8-cell test, but I don't even have the 8-cell connectors to go on there, the balance connectors. All I've got is up to 6. So I can only show you the limitations up to 6-cell. We are going to hit it, believe me. I've got a test worked out. We're going to hit the wattage on this to see if we can do it. But one thing I wanted to point out, if you look at the specs on the front, this is a 600 watt, and it's not going to help me out with the screen, right? It's a 600 watt charger capable of 20 amps. So if you divide that out, and take 600 divided by 20, that means 30 volts. So in order to get the full 600 watts, you have to be able to do 30 volts, and I can't. I can only do 25. So that means I'll be able to show you 600 divided by 25. I should be able to show you about 24. I can't get up that high. It's going to be volts times amps equals watts. So I'm going to do 25 volts times 20 amps. I'll be able to get it up to 500 watts. That's as high as I can go. So we'll test it, though. I'll test it up to that level, and we'll see how that goes. And then, anyway, continuing with the tour, nice ventilation around the side. And then on the front, you've got the 8-cell connector. And notice there's 2 3-pin connectors for typical servos. These are your input and output. So input up top, output on the bottom. And the reason you have both is because it can measure your PWM and S bus from a receiver, so you can see how that's doing. And then it's got output, so if you want to measure or use it as servo centering or servo adjustments, or, you know, as a servo tester, you can do that. And then also notice it's got a Type C port and a Type A port. So all good stuff. And the Type C, by the way, does power delivery. I tested that. I'll show you guys that in a minute. And then we've got the fan on the back. Nothing on the bottom except a couple of rubber feet. So that's it on the outside. That's the tour. And I'm going to say hello to you guys in chat real quick before we go any further, because we're going to start off with a calibration real quick. I saw Freddie in here first. I don't see, oh, there he is. Freddie's in there. I see him. So I saw Freddie and Stuart. They jumped in pretty quick. Jeff says he just got his M6 DAC. That's a good charger, man. I like that charger. It's very flexible because it's got both AC and DC. So I like that. Glad you got that one. Let's see, Robert. Yeah, it's Monday. How about that already? Lawrence Williams says, yes, end of month, send me one. So new, still making it unbelievable. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. John always pushes them. Yeah, I like to try and get it as far as I can, but obviously because I don't have any 8S, you know, and I don't even have the connectors for it, I can't push it all the way to the limit, but we are going to kick it, that's for sure. North 49 RC, Chris, how you doing, my friend? Needs a power supply, not sure what. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is. Maybe you can clarify. Freddie, how fragile does that hinge feel? Not bad. And you know, I think it's, I mean, I don't know. It's, you know, this is a first look, so I don't really have long time, you know, long experience with it, but I don't know. It feels okay. I mean, you wouldn't want to monkey fist it, and you certainly only open it to about where it's going to stop. And then honestly, you probably, if you leave it on the desk, you're probably just going to leave it mostly up all the time. I did notice inside it's got one of the ribbon cables right there. So that's how they're bringing the data in from the unit into the display. It's through one of those ribbon cables, and that's that. So it seems to be okay. I don't really have any initial complaints about it. Michael Belshi says, hello, how you doing? Robert says, so no smoke is what you're saying. Yeah, no smoke, not inside, man. No smoke, no smoke. The David Knutz is here. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. All right. Yeah, we're the magic smoke. I got my M6D, M8S for quad stuff. Yeah. All right. Let's get moving. First thing I want to do is show you guys, I'm going to turn it off. I'm just going to turn power off, and I'm going to show you guys, if you've never seen it. And by the way, I did have to calibrate this one. When I got it, the way it came to me out of the box, it needed to be calibrated. So I'm going to show you that first. It's the same with all toolkit stuff. I'm not going to do a full calibration. I'm just going to do a real quick one just to give you an idea. You press the jog dial and then you apply power. All right, so when you do that, you'll be brought into the calibration menu. And the way I'll show you how to calibrate, there's two things you want to do. And I know the electrician dorks out there are going to say, you got to put a load on it. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. This is all consumer stuff, man. It's not going to be that close. So people who say that stuff, you got to lighten up. So 22.74 volts, that's what we're looking for on this thing. I've got my fluke meter right there on the battery. 22.74, that's the voltage. So we'll plug it in. People are going to say, well, you got to have a load on it. And you can see right there, we're reading 24.6. So that needs to be calibrated. Now, the way you're going to do that, remember I said, is 22.7 volts, right? So you want to go onto this ADC field, if I can ever get there. What's going on here? Oh, sorry. You got to start in the input field. And, oh, wait a minute. Wait. No, that's input. Sorry, I just about screwed up. There's the output right there, 22.7. That's correct. That's the battery. So if I pull this off, that goes down to 0. All right, so let's clarify. I was looking at the wrong field, guys. You got to be careful with this stuff. Don't make that mistake. All right, so there we go, 22.74 volts. All right, now when you plug it in, you'll see that show up on the output field, 22.78. So we can still calibrate that, right? We can bring it down just a little bit. It says 22.78. Let's bring it down to 22.74. And the way we'll do that is just clicking the field, and then we'll make an adjustment. And we're going the right way. So 22.75, 22.74. There you go. That's the calibration. So 22.74, it's fine. It's fine. I know a lot of guys get so animated. Well, it's not 0.07. Come on, man. Take a breath. It's fine. It'll be fine. All right, close enough. Now let's do a balance check real quick. So what I'm going to do is plug. Okay, so let me show you this lead. I use this lead all the time for calibrating. The way I got this is I took one of those. It's a male, the male connector, so like an extension, and I just took the bigger outer sleeve off, and then I cut half of it. Or I cut one set of pins, one set of the plastic off, and that left me with this really nice little 2-pin connector. It's just a normal servo lead, a servo extension. And with these 2 pins, what that lets you do is you can connect a probe like this. This is how I use the probe. And we'll just slide that into the back. And this is a great little tool for calibrating your stuff. So what I'll do is I'm just going to plug it in now. Let me show you on the battery, because I know when I do these videos, I don't normally show you guys that. Let me just get a pointer out here, and I want to show you where I'm plugging in, just so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So when you calibrate, I'm taking those 2 little probes and I'm putting one here and one there, and that's going to be cell 1. And then the next one moves over, and so on and so on, okay? So that's all I'm doing to calibrate this. So we'll do it. We're going to put the red on the right, and we're just going to plug those 2 pins in right. You got to just slide them in. Slide them in there, look for the metal, there you go. Once you get it, you'll see it'll slide right in there. Then you can take your voltmeter right here, and we'll put it in the XT60 connector like that. And now we can see our voltage. So you see 3.79, that's the voltage for the first cell. So what we'll do now is I'll escape out of this and go down to this first cell right here. So I'm on the first cell. I put my highlight right there. We're just going to highlight that, and we're going to increase it. So it says 3.79. I'm just going to roll the wheel just a little bit. This ADC, the analog to digital converter, there we go, 3.79. That's calibrated. So once we get that, we'll just press the button, and then you just keep doing that for each cell. We'll take your lead, we'll pop it off this one, and we'll put it on right here on the next one. And then we'll take a voltage reading. That says 3.789, and you can see that one's pretty close, 3.789. There you go. That's how you calibrate these things. That's all there is to it. I know the screen is not helping us out there, but there it does say 3.789. That's what it says there. So that's how you calibrate these things. And you can do the same thing on your input voltage too, by the way. I'm using a desktop charger, and I have it set to 24.5 volts, and that's about what I read. I read about that. Could probably lower it just a little bit maybe. So it seems a little high. Am I going the wrong way? Going the wrong way. Let's go this way. So 24.5 volts is what I have the desktop charger putting out. And we'll lower it to get in there. So there we go, 24.5, and it says 24.57. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So there you go. That's how you calibrate these things. Wanted to show you guys that because that's a good thorough. You don't really get that on a lot of other channels showing you how to do this stuff. So I wanted to make sure you saw how to do it. And I will tell you that I did have to calibrate this one. Mine, when I got it, I knew right away it was off because it showed some of my cells were completely off and they weren't. They were very balanced. So just throwing that out there, you guys do want to make sure you calibrate. And I would recommend, you know, it's not a bad idea to calibrate all your stuff. While you're doing it, go ahead and get out your cell checker and do that too while you're at it. Make sure everything's kind of reading the same thing. That way you get the best, most, what I like to refer to as what's called an asymptotic result. So it's getting closer and closer to zero. You'll never hit zero, but you're getting very, very close to it. And that's the most important thing with these things. It's never, all this is consumer stuff. It's not going to be that precise anyway. If you're within, you know, a couple 100ths of a volt, you're fine. It's fine. Trust me, it's fine. I know a lot of people get animated about this stuff, but it just doesn't matter that much. All right, a lot of hi, how you doing? Howdy's in the chat. I see that. Let's see. What do we have here? Black Ice Alley, Dank RC, good evening, North 49. Okay, just a lot of chat. Just note when doing a calibration to do it on a settled battery, no freshly charged. Yeah, that's a good point too, Elias. Notice that I am using a battery that's not fully charged. I don't disagree with that. I think finding something where you're not running full energy in, that's not a bad idea. So this one is 3.7, so that's fair enough. I don't mind that. How do I calibrate my voltmeter? Yeah, well, you know, that's a thing, Chris. You got to make sure you have a voltmeter you trust, you know, and what I would say is if everything's working off the same reference point, again, you're fine. See, that's the thing. It's all relative. So if you use a good voltmeter and everything is calibrated to it, you know that you'll have very little variation from device to device, right? And that's the most important thing. It's not whether or not you're at 4.20 or 4.21. That doesn't matter as much. What matters is that all your equipment agrees. So when you say it's balanced, or when it's not balanced, it's not balanced. But the trick is that you know that. All right, I don't want to get off topic too much. That's enough with the calibration stuff on that. The next thing I want to do, we're going to set this aside. So let me show you this. Don't forget to hit save. If you don't hit save, it doesn't save your values, and you have to do it again. So make sure you hit save. Then we'll hit exit, and we'll get out of this, and we'll go on to the next thing. I don't know if you guys saw that when I exited out. I'll try and do it again. Let me put it up here so you can see it. I'm just gonna. One of the cool things they did is it's got a customizable logo screen. So they went ahead and did a customization for me already. It came this way. So here it comes. There's a little RCVR logo. You can make your own bitmap, and the directions are on how to do this are in the manual. I've already read the manual. It's in there. So if you want to do your own, the instructions for doing it are in the book, so to speak. All right, that's that. Let's move on to the next thing. And here's what I said earlier. I'm going to show you a couple things you don't find on the other channels, right? A lot of guys will sit there and go, oh yeah, look, you know, it's a cool chart. Let me show you a couple things. One of the things I wanted to show you is look at the power selection thing. I'll show you how I did that, and I'll show you what it means too. I also have to tell you that we have to turn off the voice because as it has voice, and what I'd like to do is have the voice talk to you guys on the mic for just a minute. But after we do that, I'm going to turn the voice off because otherwise it's hugely distracting while I'm trying to talk and the thing is talking over me. So let me just give you a couple of voice prompts. Hopefully you can hear them. My microphone does really good noise cancellation, so sometimes it just doesn't, it's hard to hear when I do these types of demos, but I'll do the best I can, and hopefully that'll be that. So what I'm going to do is I've got it on adapter 100 watts. I'm going to move it to the next one that says battery 850. I'll be quiet and we'll try and let you hear the voice prompt, and then we'll move on. So here we go. I'm going to move it onto battery 850. So here we go. I'm going to bring it right up to the microphone. I'm going to take my microphone sock off too. Really just want to give you guys the best chance to hear the voice situation here.
Input 2, 850 watt. Input 3, 850 watt.
Okay, so hopefully you heard that, and what that does is every menu option that you use, it has an audible prompt to read it out. So if you have maybe some vision issues, or you know, it gets a little blurry for you if you don't wear your glasses, whatever, it has audio prompts for you. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and select one of these, and then I'm going to talk about this in just a minute. But notice I've got a couple of different options here. I've got adapter, battery, and adapter. I'm going to show you that trick in just a minute. They do some real cool things in ToolkitRC that I'd like to show you how to do in case you're not familiar. But I'm going to go ahead and select, we're on a battery or an adapter right now. So I'm going to select that. Now I'm going to go into the menu system and turn that voice off. So give me just a moment. We're going to scroll down to personalization, and we're going to do announce volume and turn that off. That voice stuff, when you're trying to do a video, just doesn't work. So that's that. I'm going to get back to those input settings real quick. So let me reboot this thing. We'll get the input settings back up again. And there's a reason that this matters. And the reason that this matters is because you can use different things. Like I'm using a P200 that's got some limits when it's on AC, but batteries have very different limits. So let me show you how you get into this power selection thing and why you want to use it. So we'll hit escape, and I'm going to go into the menu by long pressing the jog dial, and we're going to go into this very first setting that says input settings. And notice what I've done here is I've got it on manual. I'm going to tilt the screen so I can just see a little bit. There you go. So see, I've got it on manual right there. That's what causes that input screen to give you a prompt. Now, here are the power types that you can select. So if I leave it on manual and press the jog dial, you can either set it on manual or auto, but let's leave it on manual. And then the other thing we got to do is see this P3, P2, there you go, P1 and P2. That's where you change what the different power inputs are. So here's why you want to do that. If you use the type of adapter, what that'll do is it'll turn off the regenerative discharge. So this thing will do regenerative discharge, and what that means is you can take your energy from the battery that you were charging and send it to the battery that you were charging from. So if I were using, say, this little brick as a charging source and I had regenerative discharge enabled, I could take all the energy from my pack and send it back up to that guy. Now, if you're on a power supply, obviously you don't want to do that. So that's why they have that option. The other option that they give you when you're in here is you can set the max power. So I know on my P200 the max power is 100 watts, and I may say I want my max current to be limited at 5 amps. So this gives you a way to set the different input limits for the devices you might be using while you charge. That's why it's important to understand that and to use it. So, and you can also, by the way, set a voltage range. So the max current says, if this adapter, if I select P1 as my input source and I go above 5 amps, it'll stop. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat little party trick, right? And then if you decide you're going to be using, say, this big honking battery that can deliver you, 150 amps, then you could put it on P2. Whoops, not manual. You put it on P2. And when you do that, you can say on the battery, I'm good for 850 watts and up to 25 amps, no problem. Okay. And what that'll do is kind of allow the charger to operate based on the parameters of your input source. And when you select battery, you will be able to do regenerative discharge. So if you decide to discharge a device, you can send all that energy back to your source battery. So again, I know these are kind of minutia details, but I've done so many ToolkitRC videos that I thought maybe we'd spend a little time showing you some of the nuanced operation capabilities of these devices as well. All right, let me check some comments real quick and then we'll move on. Let's see. David, it's fine, says, okay, Chris, you need a toaster or 2 butter knives, calibrate a voltmeter, you use a reference voltage model, you can get one at Banggood. It's my issue without review. Okay, William. Hey, William Cox in the house. How you doing, William? Good to see you. I found a chance by chance a meter on Banggood that's as good as my Fluke? Oh, Drone Pilot, man. Yeah, you can post a link for that. Do that, man. I'm always happy. If you guys don't know, Elias is an electrician. So if I need advice, I generally ask him for it. And if he says he found a pretty good meter, you can bet it's probably a pretty damn good meter. So Elias, feel free, of course, to post a link for that. Jeff says, made it back. I'll need to watch the beginning. Yeah, you can do that. Phil Downs, all this calibrating should have been done at the factory. No, you don't need to do it every time you put it away. And they do a reference voltage at the factory, but this is the point, man. This is my whole argument, right? This is all consumer grade gear. None of it's lab grade stuff. So you're going to see some disparity, and that's the whole argument. That's the whole point. They do some baseline calibration at the factory, but it's never a bad idea to check it against what your equipment says. That's all I'm saying. Phil Downs, do it once. It's only if you want it fine-tuned. Yeah. And I do every now and then I'll check them just because I'm weird like that. I like to see the numbers and see if my, where I really start to check is if I see drift. If I see this thing telling me something different from this thing, I'll check them both just to see what's going on. But let's see, if you can afford a Fluke meter, then buy 4.7 inch. It's accurate for its price. Thanks for the link, Elias. I will check that out. This Fluke meter served me well, but I'm always, I like my equipment. Nearly any voltmeter is fine. It doesn't need to be an expensive one. That's so true, man. That's the whole argument, right? This is all consumer grade stuff. If you're within a couple hundredths of a volt, it's fine. It's fine. It's going to be fine. The main thing is just make sure everything agrees. That's what I like to see, is agreement from my device to device. That's all. And you want to make sure you're not going over the top. I think that's important too. Let's see. I have a Fluke and okay. All right. That's it on that part. Let me go ahead and go through the rest of the settings real quick, and then we'll move on. Let's see. I'm just going to fold this input settings thing closed. Security settings. If you guys are, I can't see the screen. There it is. Is it moving? There it goes. Security. I have to pop this up just a little bit so I can see. All right. Security settings let you specify temperatures for the interior and exterior, the amount of time for a charge to occur, the amount of energy that can be moved at one sitting. And that's the 30 amp hour thing. Personalization lets you change the backlight color. So this might help with the video. I can lower this just a little bit. That might help with the video. You can turn the backlight down. All the voice prompts. If you do the operation volume, that's the beeper. So if you turn that on when you're navigating around, you hear a boink, boink, boink. That's the beeper. You can turn that off. I like it off. I don't like that disturbing, noise. I just like things to be pretty quiet. Warning volume. Here's one thing that was really cool about this charger that was an unintended. I had no idea. But you know how so many chargers at the end of a charge cycle, they have a shrill beep. There's some kind of mechanical piezo type beep. This one doesn't. It has a really nice door chime. The first time it went off, I'm like, what the hell is that? Looking all over the place. Like, what is that? Well, I don't recognize that sound. And it was the charger getting done. So the warning volume, I actually leave that on low, and that gives you a charge complete notification, which is actually very handy. Languages, I think it's just Chinese and English on this one. Oh, there's Dutch or German, French. How about that? I thought it was just Chinese. That's what the manual said. Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, again, I don't know. Asian characters I can't read. And there we go, back to the end. So it looks like... I always say Deutsch, but that's German. So it's German, not Dutch. And then there's English. Okay, so there's the language options. Theme style, if you want to go bright, you can do that. That's the bright one. I guess I can lower the backlight volume a little bit and let you guys get a look at what that looks like. Maybe that'll show up okay. Yeah, it looks like it's showing up okay. All right, and then battery selection. This is another option. I'll show you why this matters in just a minute, but you can turn it off. Or on. So battery selection, that means when you plug in a battery and start to use it, do you want to be prompted for a pre-save profile, or do you want to leave it off and just set it every single time? So you can do either one. If you only charge like a limited number of batteries, that's actually pretty handy to have. Otherwise, you can just specify as you go. And then continuous work. This is one of my favorite options, especially if you're charging the same kind of battery. So if you're out, say, flying, your 380 helicopter and you got a stack of your 1800 6Ls, when you put it on continuous work, when you remove a battery that's charged and plug one in that needs to be charged, it just goes right back to work with no interference from you at all. That's a really cool feature, and I do like that one. And then under work complete, you can either set it to trickle or end. I leave mine on trickle, so that just does a little bit more to kind of balance things. And so I leave mine on trickle. And then let's see, what else do we have down here? Balance start always. I'm not sure what that means. Balance start always. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. I'll have to look in the manual. Somebody look that up in the manual. You guys can tell me what it means. There's to reset your settings to default, and then there's information about the firmware. Notice this is version 1.01. That is the latest firmware. So this is the latest. And I'll tell you guys, as far as upgrading firmware, it's ridiculously simple. They give you a little USB cable. You simply connect it here, connect the other end of your computer. They give you a little zip file. You open it, you extract it, you run the batch file, it updates your firmware, you unplug, you're done. It couldn't get any easier than that. I'm not going to bother doing it because I just honestly have way too much stuff on the desk, and it's super easy. Just connect the USB cable here into your computer, you run the upgrade batch file in the archive, and it's done. It works. It's very simple to do. Okay, so that's that on the settings. Let's go ahead and get out of there. And I think I want to go back to dark mode, to be honest. I like the dark mode. I think it's easier on the eyes, and I think it's easier for you guys to see it while we're doing our video here. So let's put that back on dark mode, and I do need to turn that brightness up just a little bit. Okay, so we have a little brightness now. There we go. All right, let me check the comments and we'll see. I'll move on. Vaughn, nearly any voltmeter is fine. Yep, that's exactly how I feel about it. The only time a meter needs to be accurate is for max voltage. However, you charge and fly a little more, yeah, that's all good. I hardly ever use over 8 amps on my power supply. It's when I'm powering 4 chargers. Yeah, we're gonna hit the amperage on this, believe me. I have a Fluke and 3 others, different ranges. They only change, yeah, 0.001. Yeah, that's the point, right? That's the pragmatic view. I guess I charge at low amps. The reference module reference. Okay, there's a reference module. Voltage module, AD5844 channel. That's cool. I might check into that. Might be good to have one of those. Should I get the Mini 2 or is there another kind under 250 grams? I don't know the question. I guess you guys are talking about DJI quads, huh? Let's see. Okay, good. We'll move on. That's it for the setup. So that's a setup menu. We'll do a chart. Oh, you know what? There's something else I want to show you guys too real quick. We're going to go through a couple of different things in here. The first one I'm going to do is I've got an iPad plugged in. So I'm going to put it on the USB information screen, and I'm just going to plug this in. This is connected to my iPad. So the other end is in my iPad. And I just want to point out, when you're on this information screen, it's kind of cool because you can get an idea of how much voltage and how much current you're pushing through your USB link. So, and notice it says protocol USB. It's going to drop. There it goes. It just dropped the connection to restart it with power delivery F. That's the profile, 15 volts, 2 amps to an iPad. So that's a quick charge profile basically, and it gives you an idea of how many watt hours are going back into the device and how much time. So nice little feature, in addition to being, you know, on your desk for all your lipo charging stuff. It has that capability, which is super cool. This will charge anything. If it's right now, that's charging an iPad Pro, and it's giving it 2 amps. So this thing will charge just about anything. Also notice it's got a USB-A out there as well, and I'm pretty sure that one's limited to 1.5 amps and 5 volts. But you can do a full power delivery on this one with PDF, and there's 2.5 amps. I just saw it, 2.5 amps. So that's a cool little feature. I like that a lot, and that was my iPad connected there. Okay, now that's it for that one. I want to show you guys some of the other cool stuff that these things do. You just don't get on other chargers. Oh, here's a livability thing that I noticed. When I put this thing on the desk and I'm trying to use the wheel, I just wanted to point this out to you. That's a little annoying. It would have been, I kind of wish they would either put the wheel on the side, which would have been much more convenient, or moved it up. Because if you have the tilt at just a little bit of an angle, your finger, there's no good answer. So if you have the thing tilted up quite a bit, then it's fine. You don't have any problems running your finger across and navigating around. I'm just pointing that out. It's a usability thing. It would have been cool if they would have put that either on the side or up high, or maybe even, I don't know, up front somewhere else. But putting it in line with this lid, kind of, it gets in your way while you're trying to navigate, which is, you know, whatever. It's a thing. I'm just pointing it out. Okay, I want to do power output, because this is another pretty cool party trick that you don't get on most chargers. So you can set power output. And the other thing I'm going to do, I want to show you guys that I came prepared. FYI, here's another little thing that's really cool to have if you have the Toolkit chargers, is get yourself an XT60 connector and a servo connector, and just connect your hot and ground appropriately. So ground up top, you know, red on the bottom, and connect it appropriately. And then you can plug this into the output right there up front. And when you do that, we're going to use my balance checker. Remember that from the other segment. and I'm going to plug that in. So I've got my negative and positive there, and we're just going to connect. We're going to bring the meter back in, and I wanted to show you guys that this thing has a power output capability, which is really cool, because it's nice to have this on your bench. And I'm going to show you something else you might be a little surprised about. So you can see right there, it says 5 volts and 0.5 amps of current, and I'm just going to hit start, and you can watch that go right up to 5 volts. There we go. We settled in at 5 volts. And so 5 volts here, 5 volts there, it's 0.02. Yeah, so it's off just a little, right? This is the kind of thing that I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. Your electronics aren't going to care that much. But here, check this out. If you hit the scroll wheel, you can go into the voltage and click on it and then raise it. And check this out. This is actually kind of neat. If you want to do something like, I don't know, test an ESC, or, if you want to check your latest, greatest camera that you've got for flying around. Well, let's see how high can we go with this thing. It says 35 volts. Well, let's run it. See what happens. It's going to step up a little bit. So here we go. It's slowly increasing. It's not slamming it open. It's slowly increasing that voltage. We're going up. There's 25. We can go up to 35 volts on this, which is kind of cool. So 34.95, yeah, it's off by 5, 10, 100s, 5 100s, right? So it's off just a little bit, but there you go. And then you can lower it again, and of course as well. So that's kind of a cool little feature. This is something you don't see on most desktop chargers. You just don't have a built-in power supply. And frankly, I think that's kind of cool. So there's 20 volts. Looks like it's calibrated right on at 20 volts. That's pretty freaking close. So nice little feature to be able to have a power supply on your charger. I think that's cool. That to me is one of the neat features. Okay, let's I want to go back into this menu again, and we're going to do a couple of other little tests. I want to show you guys a couple of other things. I'm not going to do the ESC test because I don't have everything handy that I need for that. So I'm not going to do that today, but here's what we are going to do. We're going to measure signal. I want to show you guys this one. So I have, I have this one, I have this one, and I have this one. I've got a couple different devices to measure signal, and we're going to bring the radio in, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see the radio. So here's what we're going to do. We're simply, now to measure signal, you use the input on the front. So the one up top is I, and you want to make sure you get your polarity correct. So negative on the left, signal on the right, and input. So what I'm going to do is plug this one in. And this is a Radiomaster R168, and I'm going to turn on my radio. So I've got a radio set up to do a demo for you guys. So let's just turn this on. We're complaining about throttle, of course. I don't know why I have throttles complaining on a demo. I need to turn that off. Okay, so here's the S-Bus demo. Let me see. Failsafe not set, of course. Thanks for all the alerts. Appreciate that. I want to set this aside. All right, so here we go. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is show you the telemetry. So you guys can see I've got telemetry on this one. It says 90 dB on the RSSI. And I want to show you that we've got some outputs, right? There's the outputs. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do measure signal. We're going to select measure signal. And this is a PWM receiver. So we're going to do a PWM output. And that's something that I noticed going on that I wasn't real happy about. Now, I do want to point out right here, you can see this bar right there. You see that bar right there? It moves, and it does move. So it's showing you an output, but I've seen this on multiple receivers. That's why I have so many of them out tonight. I've got this one out, and I've got this one out, and I've tried different receivers, and I've tried different radios. So I think they've got a bug. I think they've got a bug in the code where that's needs to be fixed. And I know they watch it, so they'll have to work on this. But that's a thing that doesn't work right. Now I did earlier during one event, I saw it work correctly where I wasn't seeing that screen flicker like that. But that's a bug. And then one other thing I'll tell you is that when I used an S6R doing the same thing, and I'm not sure if I'd have to bind this or not. I think I can probably bind it. One thing I'll show you guys on this one with the S6R real quick, the negative up top. Let's see. I think I have to bind this one. I did bind it earlier, but let me go ahead and bind it again real quick. Just want you guys to see this one. And I'm going to put the lead away. I'll use this as my binding pin, my binding button. Okay, there we go. We're in bind mode. Let me just bind this real quick. There we go. It's bound. Let it. I'm going to let it finish the process just so you guys can see it. So that's bound up real quick. And then we'll go ahead and disconnect it and reconnect it. There, I've got telemetry, and now you can see it working. So there, that's how it's supposed to work. That's what it's supposed to look like right there. That's how that's supposed to work. It's supposed to navigate left and right. So I'm not exactly sure what's causing that with the screen. I'm not sure. I can tell you that earlier on when I did this with the S6R, I was able to get the screen to lock up. So the reason I'm telling you guys this is it's okay, I guess, to look and see if you're getting some motion. And obviously I am getting some motion on PWM. You can see that I am getting some motion, but it's not, I think it needs some work. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think it needs a little work, which is unusual because all the other toolkit stuff that I've done this on, it's been fine. I haven't had any issues. Okay, that's that one. That's the PWM, okay? So you can measure PWM signal if you want to check and see if your radio is putting out what you expect it to. You can do it like that. We'll get rid of that one. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in a 161. This is an S-bus receiver, and we'll show you how to do an S-bus measurement real quick. So let me just switch this over to S-bus. I don't have PPM. I think that's one they could kill. I mean, who uses PPM anymore? I don't know. I don't have anything that's PPM, but this one, I don't use it. I don't have it. I have S-bus, so I'll use that. And then we'll plug this in again. Same deal. You want to use the input, and you want to make sure you get your polarity right. So the negative goes on the left. We'll plug that in, and there, I've got a bind already, so it worked, which is cool. And then we'll do movement, and you can see there's movement on the S-bus, right? There's an S-bus receiver, and we're getting movement there with all the different channels. So that works pretty good. I don't have any issues with the S-bus. Everything looks like it works normal there. If you guys don't have one of these S-bus testers on your desk, especially if you're into quads or helicopters where you need the single wire signal protocol, I highly recommend getting a tool like this, whether it's the M9 or the M6 DAC or the M6 or the Toolkit M7 or any of them. The M8S, that's where I really kind of fell in love with Toolkit products, was with the M8S. So anyway, just a cool feature to be able to make sure that you can tell, like right now, you can say this radio is not the problem, right? You know your receiver is working. Oh, and it looks like it stopped. See, this is what I mean. This is a little buggy. I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on again. So see what I mean? It locked up. It stopped working. So I know they watch these videos, and I'll just tell them, you're seeing it the way I see it, right? I'm not doing anything here. This is the way it's been working for me too. So we'll do this again, measure signal, and then we'll put it on S-bus, and we'll see. Are you going to work? Yeah, no, it doesn't want to work at all. Let's take just out of curiosity, I'm just going to disconnect the receiver real quick. And then plug it back in again too, just to make sure. Maybe there's some kind of handshake or something that needs to occur. Well, there you go. You see what I mean? This is what happens. I saw this earlier with the PWM, and it's kind of disturbing like that. You guys saw it the first time I did it. It worked fine. No issues. I wonder if switching back and forth to a different thing would matter. There's PWM. Yeah, that would jump all over the place. That shouldn't be reliable. And then we'll do S-bus again. We'll see. Nope. I want to just check, just out of curiosity, and make sure. Yep, I've got RSSI, so it's not a question of whether or not. Oh, wait, there it went, and it locked up again. So yep, they've got some work to do, I think, on that. There's something not quite right about that. There, you can see it's working again now, though. So yeah, that's a little annoying. I think they got some work to do there, and I hope they get that fixed. But there you go. That's how you can check your receivers. In theory, I know that it's a firmware thing. I know it is. I know they know how to do this stuff, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure they'll get it straightened out. But just FYI, if you buy one of these to test those kinds of parameters, just be aware. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's get to what everyone came for. I'm going to check the comments, then we're going to do the big test, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's see. When you plug... Oh, Robert says when you plug the battery in, it auto balances the battery. Oh, is that what that's for? That's cool. I dig that. That's cool. So you can just plug this thing in and it'll auto balance, huh? Let's see. Let's see if it does it. And we'll see. I'm going to make sure I have it on. Do I have auto balance? Balance start voltage always. Okay. So we'll see. This one, yeah, it could use a little balance. I don't see any lights going on, Robert. I don't see number 6 going on, and I definitely don't see number 1 going on. Number six wouldn't. It's the low one. So everything else, if it were auto balancing, all these other ones would turn on to match number 6, and that's not what's happening. Okay. Well, if that's what it was supposed to be. All right, let's see. Robert just puked in his mouth. Oh, Robert, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bud. I didn't mean to take your friend away from you. I'll leave Precious up there for you for the rest. No, I can't, man. I'm just teasing you. I need the room on the desk for this. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I don't see the auto balance there. Maybe I'm missing something. You guys can help me out. Indeed, great gear. I have 5 all M6Ds, top gear. Yeah, I like the M6D too. That's a really good one. Fugly radio. That's all it does is complain. Hey, Bill. Bill joined us. How you doing, Bill? Good to see you. Let's see. Hello. There's the QC. Yeah, normally Dank RC, when it comes to the software, my experience the software's been pretty good. A couple little niggly issues, but they'll work it out. That's the cool thing, is that they actually respond. So I know them. I've seen them. It was one of the chargers. I think it was the continuous work mode on the M7. When I did it, I got the charger. I did the test. I told them about it. They had a new firmware compiled and linked within like an hour. That's how fast they jumped on that. So they'll work it out. I don't worry about little things like that. Yeah, it's a firmware fix, I'm sure. Okay, we'll pop that out. And what I'd like to do next is the big test. This is what you guys came to see. Make it smoke, make it smoke, make it smoke, says Robert. All right, we're turning off the power supply. I'm going to move that out of the way. Now, this battery, I'm going to show you guys. Well, I can plug it in and show you. There's the connection. We should have... we're going to do battery. So I'm going to select number 2 for battery. And we have 23.9 volts in. Let me zoom back in a little bit. Okay, 23.9 volts in. I'm going to set this over here because I've got a great big rig to test the full, this is as hard as I can push it, guys. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see this thing. All right, there's the rig. All right, what I've got here, in case you don't understand this, these are the batteries that I use to fly my Tron, the Tron 7, okay? So these are this is the battery tray. These are 2 5,000, 6L 5000s, 2 here, so that's 4. They're all on a parallel board, and so that means same voltage, 25 volts, but we've got the ability to run at 1C, it's 5 amps per, so 5, 10, 15, 20 amps. 20 amps at 25 volts at peak. So that's how now I'd have to push it all the way to 25 volts, and I can't do that using this as the source. But what we will do is run it at full tilt. So I will do that. There's the plug-in. You can see I've got the all these cells are balanced 0.82, 0.82, A2, 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 A2. Very nice, John. Good work. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug the main lead in. And we're just going to run the test, right? And I can tell you right now, guys, it's going to hit this thing pretty hard because we're going to be taking 20 amps out of it consistent while we load this thing up. The cool thing about the charger is it does show you the information when you start charging on this screen. So I'm going to go ahead and, now that you guys have seen the rig, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see the screen, because that's really what we're after, right? We want to see the screen. And I swear if there's any smoke, I'll zoom out so you guys can see it before I run. How's that? Okay. So there we go. There's the screen. Let's go ahead and get a charge started. So I'm going to press the jog dial, and under LiPo, I do want to talk to you guys about the battery type. We'll do that later. Let's just do the test here. So under cells, we'll leave it set at auto. They're fine detecting auto. We're in charge mode, and don't forget, remember what I told you. If you're in discharge mode, you can either use recycle or external. So in this case, if you were trying to put your energy back in your source battery, you'd use recycle, and that will let you run, I think it's at 600 watts, okay? So we'll just leave it. We're not doing a discharge test here. For end voltage, whoops, I got to set it back up to charge. Okay, for end voltage, here are your options. You can go as low as 4.05, and you can go as high as 4.25 if you're running HV. We'll just set this because we're just running a test. We'll just set it some random number. And for current, we're going to crank it. This is the number. This is what everyone came to see. The big number. Let's fire this thing all the way up to 20 amps. There it is, 20 amps. And here we go. So we're going to charge all the way up to 20 amps. And here's a screen where you can watch what's going on in terms of your voltage and your watts. So there's 464 watts. Now remember, the reason it's not hitting 600 is because I need 30 volts to do that. I don't have that kind of capacity. And the reason it's not hitting 500 is because our cell voltage right now on the output is only, do I get to see it? 23.09 right there. So you need, it's when it hits 25 at 20 amps, then we'd see 500 watts, but it's only at 23 because we're charging, right? That's the idea. So there you go. That is 466 watts. I have the peak set at 4.12 volts, 20 amps, and it looks like it's doing a pretty good job holding that 20 amps too. It's fluctuating a little bit. That's another thing I think I would suggest to Toolkit is maybe dampen this a little bit. We don't need status updates quite that often. You know what I mean? I think it'd be fine because we're really just cycling between 7 and 2 and 7 and 2 and 7 and 2. It wouldn't mind me if that update frequency were dampened just a little bit because I think on average it's pretty close to 20. That's my point. All right, well, that's messing around. I'm going to check comments real quick. Go easy on her. Yep, super handy when it works. Yep, we make it smoke, make it smoke. New tool to get. Yep, Steven Cristofero, new tool toy to get. 32 watching, 18 likes. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, thanks for hitting the like whip. And while we're doing that, I do want to say thanks again to ToolkitRC for sending this out for review. Thank you. Nice little unit I think they've got here. And I also want to make sure I say thanks to my patrons. So thank you for joining patreon.com/RC Video Reviews. I'll remind you, I have a tier for $3 a month. So if you'd like to help out on the channel, you help me get gear and equipment that I use to make these kinds of tests, that'd be awesome. Patreon.com/RC Video Reviews. I have a $3 a month tier, so you can help out if you choose to. All right, so let's see. It will handle it. I charge my 20 amp hour 6S bats, and it does. Yeah, it's doing fine. Normally, that's one thing that with the ToolkitRC stuff that I've noticed is that when they put a spec out, they hit it. I have yet to find a charger that I've used from ToolkitRC that did not hit the power specification they said they would hit. So that much I do know to be true. One other thing I'll point out too is notice the little red light. So it's got a little red light on the front to let you know if you're not sitting nearby. And then again, remember, it's got a tilt screen. So it's really cool to be able to pop that up because you can see it from across a room. So I think it's a really nice little feature. And then one other thing I forgot to mention that I like a whole lot about this one is they used a matte finish. Thank God for that. The matte finish is awesome because it doesn't show fingerprints like the glossy stuff does, and it looks kind of industrial. I like it a lot. I like the finish on this a lot. I think it'll look clean for quite a while. For quite a while. I don't think it'll get nasty, and it doesn't show those smudges or fingerprints at all. Okay, so that is the charge at 20 amps. I think that's sufficient to prove the point. I'm not worried about it. We're up at 470 watts. This thing is doing just fine. Notice that you can press the jog dial and make adjustments. So if you want to tune the current down while you're charging, you can do that. Or you can just hit stop when you're finished, and you can do that as well. Now, one other thing I'd like to do is show you the discharge. We'll do a regen. So I'm going to do a discharge, and we're going to put the voltage back in, or put the electrons back in the source battery. So we're going to do a discharge. We're going to leave it on recycle, and on the end voltage, there's way more capacity over here than, well, we're not going to do it all the way to the end, obviously. So let's see, discharge. Let's do storage charge. If I do storage, it's 3.85. Probably die on me too fast. We'll do discharge. Okay. So we'll leave it on recycle, the end voltage 3.7, and I'm going to crank this voltage up. So here's another one. This is another cool. Oh, you know what? I can't crank it up past about 5 amps because this one should only take 5 amps coming in. You don't want to feed 20 amps into this. That'd be bad. Now, if I were to reverse this situation, I could use this as the source, and I could feed. In fact, well, what the hell? Why not? Why not just do it for a second? Because this should be able to take 20 amps. Yes, it should. Let me just switch them. We'll just swap them. Let's swap them. We're going to make the old source will be, let's pretend this is the power bank, right? So this is now feeding the whole thing if you have a solution like that. And we'll use this guy as the destination. So let's say we want to empty this and go down to 3.7 volts. There we go. So the adapter is going to be battery again. And yeah, that should work. If I can find, you know what? I need a I needed to get an extension because with all this clutter on the desk, it's making this kind of a pain in the neck, to be honest with you. Okay, so there's an extension. Here we go. All right. Now I should be able to do the reverse. So I can pour 20 amps into the source. So we'll do it. I'm going to go ahead and set it on recycle. We'll use discharge current. We'll set it up at 20 amps and we'll leave it at 3.7 for the moment. And here we go. So again, got to be careful with this stuff. You have to know that your source can take that kind of amperage because we're feeding a lot of amps in the other direction. Okay, that's the important thing to understand here. So I'll hit start and here we go. There we go, 20 amps. So negative 20 amps leaving this battery and going into that power pack up front. So if you have a regen requirement, there you go. I'm taking 20 amps out of this guy, 20 amps out of this one, and sending it into that battery pack. And there you go, 20 amps on regen. So that's a pretty cool little option too. All right, I don't need to run the source battery that hard, so I'm just gonna stop it there and we'll leave it there. All right, that is it. That pretty much is everything that I wanted to show you about this battery. Oh, you know what? I did want to show you the battery profile thing. Let's do the battery profile thing real quick, and then we'll be done. So I know this is on the source side, I get it, but we're gonna go ahead and set it anyway. So here we go. We'll go into the menu system, and we'll do on battery selection, we'll turn the battery selection on. And now when you plug a battery in, what'll happen okay, so we're back to an adapter now. So I'm going to set it at the 100 watt limit, and then we're going to do charge. And here's the battery selection. This is what I was talking about. You can set these profiles to be however you want. So if you want to do like here it is, there's a 1.8 amp charge. That's what this battery is. This is the HRB 6 cell 1800. So I'll put in the balance lead like that. And there's the profile. So if I select that, you can see that my end voltage and my current are automatically loaded up for this particular battery. And then all I have to do, oops, input volt. Oh, I don't have the voltage on. There we go. All we have to do now is hit go and it'll charge it based on that profile. That was the other thing I wanted to show you about the battery prompts if you want to do that. Again, these are all details, right? You can turn all that stuff off and just, you know, it'll shorten your interactions a little bit with the device. But I did want to show that to you guys so you'd understand that you do have some options there and what those, when you do turn battery profile on, what that means. That's kind of what I was after. I wanted to make sure you understood that. And then again, if you want to change the current, you can. And if you want to stop your charge, you can do that as well. So that's it. That's it. You've now been up and down on the M9. I can tell you guys, you know, first look, I'd say it's pretty cool. I like the, I really like the USB charging capability. So it gives you that feedback on what's going into your USB device. And remember, you know, you can use it either on your desk or at the field as a charger for USB, which is really cool. I love that they're putting USB chargers in just about everything now. The tilt screen is a winner as far as I'm concerned. I like that a lot. Again, that's like touch prompts on Edge. I didn't think I'd use it that much, but now that I have it, I'm using it all the time. You know, I kind of set it over here if I need to do something on the desk, and you know, I just charge it up and I can look and see, you know, wherever I am, what's going on with the charge. So that's a pretty cool little feature. I tell you one thing that I really do appreciate, and I don't think Toolkit gets enough credit for, is their layout is very effective. Their fonts, their information layout, it's just what you need. And getting access to additional data by scrolling through the wheel, you can get your cell voltage, your overall voltage right here. You get your internal resistance on a per cell basis here. And if you're charging, so if I were to charge, that's what you get on this screen. You get the, let me turn the charge back on for a second. So there you go. When you're on, this is the information screen. You get your charging information, your voltage, your amperage, your cutoff voltage and amperage, and then the current wattage. That's very good. The time, the milliamp hours, the internal temperature, and your input source. All, it's just exactly what you'd want to see. No more, no less. And the layout is very readable. That's the other thing that I really appreciate about their efforts lately in the graphics department. Very readable information on the screen. So, you know, they did really well there as far as I'm concerned. And the matte finish, that's a total win. I'd really like to see them keep doing that. I think this finish should be on everything because when you're using it on the desk, it just keeps it from getting nasty looking. So I really approve of that form factor quite a bit. So that's it. I'm going to check the questions one more time and we'll wrap this video up. We need a smoke video. Yep, I know. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. We need to print LCD covers. I've cracked 2 now. Oh, you need LCD covers for your M6. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Maybe a screen protector, huh? Don't do that. Careful of the battery. There you go. That big battery is good for 30 amps of smoke. Yeah, no, I'm not blowing one of those up, man. No way. Approaching arc welding levels. Yeah, no doubt, man. You don't want to light one of those up. That'd be a nasty, nasty fire. Not only that, they're expensive, man. I don't want to do that. Rob is hanging for a big boom. Yeah, he is. You guys are egging me on for the fire. John didn't tell you he's wrapped up in a shower curtain for safety. Yeah, an aluminum foil shower curtain. That does a bunch of party tricks. Yeah, that's the thing I like about what they're doing at Toolkit is it's got all kinds of little, they've got all kinds of little, it's like a little Swiss Army knife. It's not the big machete. Sure, you can get higher wattage, you can get higher amperage, but you guys just saw the charge I did. I charged 4 6S 5000s at their full 1C rate. No problem. This thing didn't even break a sweat. So, from a usability perspective, I don't know how you complain. It's pretty decent, man. Honestly, I can't even really see a use case where I need above 600 watts, but I know some people can figure it out and that's fine. But I consider if you look at a bell curve, they're way over here on the side, right? For most of us, we'll be able to operate just fine in the 600 watt space. No worries. Let's see. That way you can verify it's set wrong after you see the smoke. Yeah. ToolkitRC, better late than never. How is everyone? Hey, look who joined. ToolkitRC in the house. Isn't that awesome? Well, thanks for joining. We appreciate you guys for hopping in. And I want to tell you guys congratulations on the M9. I think it's pretty cool. You guys have some software work to do though on your signal. Watch the video, you'll see it. But on the receiver signal testing, I saw some errors that need to be kind of worked out, I think. But hopefully you guys can take a look at that. And I'm sure you get it worked out in firmware. Vaughn Live Tech, hey, Toolkit, nice product. I agree. I think they did really well here. I like the tilt screen. I like the finish, and of course the power level is right there where it needs to be. He pushed it again, no smoke. Yeah, we pushed it, man. We loaded this thing up and we just proved it. But again, I couldn't even hit the 600 watts because I just don't have the facility to do it. I don't have the equipment to do it. But I pushed it as hard as I could. And I think, like I said, for most of you, you should be where you need to be in terms of understanding what this little device is capable of. So anyway, I'll keep working on it. I'll look for the firmware updates. If I see anything regarding firmware and the signal testing thing, I'll let you guys know. Keep an eye on the Toolkit website. I do have links in the description if you'd like to get one for yourself over at Banggood. I've got links for ToolkitRC in the description. And one other thing I wanted to point out, guys. New thing on my videos going forward, Radio Master started an affiliate program. So Radio Master has an affiliate program, and I'll be putting my Radio Master link in there. So if you guys need stuff from Radio Master, it really helped me out if you use the affiliate link I put in my description and buy from there. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel out. But if you can buy from Radio Master, if their price works for you and their service works for you, that's great. Use my affiliate link. The channel gets a little help, and it costs you nothing. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that, and keep an eye out. I'll be adding more and more affiliate links for Radio Master stuff as we go along. All right, ToolkitRC, send the company a big thanks for marketing great products. I agree. Yeah. Keep an eye on the video, ToolkitRC, and you'll see it has to do with the signal measurements on PWM mostly, and some hang-ups on S-Bus. I don't know what they are, but some kind of hang-up. But anyway, I see there's some conversation going with Toolkit. I don't want to shut it down. There is a Discord link from Robert. Thank you, Robert, for putting that out there. I do want to make sure you guys get a chance. Not often when the vendors hop in, so I want to make sure if you guys have questions or comment for Toolkit, you have the opportunity to say so and give them a chance to respond, so we can get anything you want to have addressed. But while we wait for that, are there any questions? You guys have any questions on what I covered? Is there anything else you'd like to see on the ToolkitRC M9? Is there anything else I can show you? I haven't seen too much in terms of questions. I think we did a pretty good job covering top to bottom on this thing. So I'm not sure. If I don't see anything, we're going to wrap it up, because it's going to turn into dead air if we don't. So I don't see anything else coming in. So I think that's it. Hey, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me on this first look with the ToolkitRC M9. I will continue to use it. And if you guys are on Discord, you know where to find me there. And if you have any questions, of course, over the long term, And as we go on with the channel and as I get more time with this charger, if I have any more feedback or information about how it's performing, I'll be sure to pass that along. All right, that's all I've got for today, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining me, and ToolkitRC, thank you very much for sending this out for review. I appreciate it. Very nice device you got here. I look forward to using it and charging my stuff up with it. All right, that's all I've got for today, guys. Take it easy.